All right, how is it going, everybody? This has been a plan in the making for a long, long time. We finally have our health podcast going, and to get it going, we have none other than one of my closest friends, a mentor, a fitness trainer, fitness enthusiast, a total beast in general. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's going on, world? My name is Adrian Wright. I'm the CEO and founder of Health Equals Wealth. Make sure you go download that right now. We need you as part of the team. We need to see those healthy activities and promote what's the most important for each and every one of us.
Yeah, for sure. So I've known Adrian strictly through work, but we got closer over time, and we relate with a lot of different activities, but more so with things relating health and wellness. And, I like to pick his brains with a few things. We have some discussions on what's going on in the world and whatnot, and I relate with him a lot. So first and foremost, man, I know this pandemic with the weightlifting, I know it's been a big adjustment. How have you been adjusting?
I mean, man, my main focus has been to maintain, to be honest with you. For the last decade, I've been really training hard and trying to see what my physical capabilities are in terms of how much I can lift or how fast I can run, my flexibility and endurance. So with COVID happening, didn't have anywhere to do resistance training, had a weight vest at the beginning of the pandemic. So, that gave me a little bit of resistance, and my nervous system really enjoyed it. But like a month into it, I was doing burpees, and when I hit the ground, the clip on the vest broke. So that was it for the weight vest, and I just started doing mostly body weights.
Right.
I mean, I've lifted recently because I go to Spirit Club on Thursdays and Fridays, and I did legs like a month ago, but it's not every day, I'm doing resistance training or every week rather. So it's been a necessary adjustment. I feel like when the resistance is removed, is that passion still there?
Right.
It kind of challenges you to see what you can do to still maintain your performance, to get creative. So
right.
It's been a necessary evil.
Right. And I think like you nailed it on the head, the way you adjust it, because I know you as somebody that lifts weights 4 or 5 times out of the week. You're very strict with it. You go hard. You're lifting weights. When you're not doing that, you're looking into nutrition. Overall, wellness is your lifestyle. That's what you do for a living and whatnot. So it's interesting to see how you've adapted, right? Because some people, the first maybe month or two, when COVID hit, the way they would adjust would be, I'm not lifting weights, so I'm not doing nothing, And I think that the way to kind of combat it, the way I look at it is, you have health and fitness. The way you can kind of progressively overload is, if it's body weight, you can always increase the repetition, slow down the tempo, work on volume. I mean, there's plenty of different ways, but I feel as if people kind of get lazy-minded about it and just stop in general. Is this something that sounds familiar with you?
Well, I mean, that's a fact. I mean, I think we're creatures of habit as people. I know, you know me specifically, throw some burpees in there, things
right.
of that nature. So, I think it's in our nature to seek what's familiar. So, with the gym being removed and gyms being closed, for us, if you're not really knowledgeable on how to go about training and you're a beginner, it's something you just started, then you saying, okay, instead of doing bench press, let me knock out a couple hundred push-ups, and to feel more resistance instead of coming down fast, let me challenge gravity and come
right.
down as slow as possible so I can give my muscles that stimulus and my nervous system that stimulus,
right.
A lot of that is foreign to us.
Right.
A lot of that is uncharted territory. So
right.
I think a lot of people, are like, I'll just wait. Even for myself, I'm not excluded, I really had to push myself, even to the point I used to be able to do 1,000 push-ups in like an hour. Since COVID, you know, I haven't even hit 1,000. And that's something, you know, 5 years or so ago, that would be something that would be included in my training. So it can be very challenging, you know, getting just used to benching and squatting, things like that. And they're very necessary. So please don't take it that I'm talking down on them. But, you know, just to be able to vary it and challenge yourself and explore is very important. So for me personally, that's what that has taught me, you know. And again, you notice where your weakness is, because at one point, like I pointed out, I could do 1,000 push-ups in under an hour. Now it'll probably take me double that time, if not even longer. I mean, I was doing 250, you know, and 500, and it was noticeably different on my body because I got so accustomed to benching, and, you know, I lost the respect to switch it up, and I lost the understanding of how necessary it is to, you know, have that as part of your conditioning or your training.
Right. And I think, like, you nailed it. I mean, as soon as it hit, you know, you have a certain routine, and when you start doing body weight, people have, you know, I wouldn't want to call it like a certain entitlement to equipment and stuff. You know, weights and dumbbells and plates, they're things that help us with progressive overload the most, but there's areas in the world where, you know, or even here where that's not readily available, you know, but people still make it happen no matter what. And, you know, I think that when I think of bodyweight exercises, and it's actually crazy because when I started launching this podcast, the first thing I did was I was like, what are some questions you guys might have to, you know, to get that interaction between us and our followers. And the biggest one that kept coming up was, you know, during the podcast, we want you to talk about what's your opinion on, you know, bodyweight exercises in this. And, you know, when I asked them, like, what do you mean, you know, what kind of exercises, or should we do them or not? And most people will be like, should we do them at all? Should we just wait until the gym's open and whatnot? And that kind of gave me the understanding of like, wow, like this is where people are at, you know, like they can just completely stop. You know, we don't really know when, I mean, gyms are open, but I don't know how comfortable people are going back and, you know, working out and whatnot. So, you know, to hear that, I definitely wanted to see where you're coming from that.
I mean, you know, I think you kind of nailed it. We don't give body weight movements, or specifically calisthenics, the respect that they deserve. But we need to understand that it's really foundational, because if you're not strong in push-ups, you're likely not going to be strong when you're doing your bench press. Because
that's facts.
It's pretty much we're recruiting the same muscles,
right?
You know, so I would argue you have to master that before you can truly get to your potential if you're doing bench.
Right.
And same is said for squats. You know, now, you know, we have limitations. You know, you can't really deadlift or do that movement with anything significant when you're doing body weight. But some of the foundational movements, like if we're doing our upper body pull, I mean, you know my take, man. I think pull-ups is the best upper body exercise. And you can quote me on that. Right. You know, and the reason I believe that is because if you're strong in a pull-up, you're going to be strong in lat pull-down.
Right. Facts.
And we don't give the body weight exercises the respect it deserves. And to be honest, it can be a lot more challenging than, you know, working with the bar, depending on what you're doing. Right. Because, look, I've had some pretty intense leg days, but like before the vest broke, I was knocking out 250 squats with it, and it's a 40-pound vest, and my quads felt just as demolished, if not more, than when I would do barbell squats. Right. Or dumbbell squats or front squats. Right. You know, I still felt the domes. Right. You know, and
for sure,
it was really effective. Right. I mean, and that's with resistance. But even if you remove the vest and you do 500 squats, right, which I did. I mean, again, the soreness is equal. Right. And I understand, you know, for all my meatheads out there, you're going to be saying, yeah, but you're working different fibers. Right. Absolutely. You know, I'm building my mitochondria and I'm working on my rep fast twitch fibers instead of, the red slow twitch fibers instead of the white fast twitch fibers. But, all of them work together in harmony.
Right.
What I want to encourage people to understand. And we need all of it. Because if you have just brute force strength and you have endurance, and you lack endurance, at the end of the day, you're not at your
not getting nothing.
potential.
Right. I think it's a matter of like kind of breaking down what people want as a goal, I think the way you and I look at it, the getting that lean muscle mass and whatnot is a plus to what we're aiming at, to be overall athletes and to be doing that for as long as we can. Number one is where our values are at, right? And if you have that, like for example, personally for me, the moment that COVID hit and, I work at Spirit Club when I wasn't seeing you or doing my weights, there was a moment for the first 2-3 weeks until I had my gym set up where I was doing bodyweight movements and I was exploring ranges of motions that I've never experienced, right? So I would load my legs with like side lunges, courtesy lunges. I would do like, for upper body, I would focus on slow bear crawls. And, I had that, that shoulder issue, that dyskinesis, it gave me a time to kind of reset and really tune up my body. And I'm still working on it. But as soon as I focused on that and really making it a wholesome plan for myself, right? And not for personally for others or like, just some extrinsic values. I noticed that when I did get the weights, my strength didn't drop dramatically. And if anything, I felt some of the pump or some of the movements a lot more fluidly, and I felt it translate into my athleticism a lot better. That's just how I saw it. And again, you said it, like different fibers for different reasons. I did sprints too to hit those fast twitch fibers and whatnot. But yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. And just in general, besides fitness, is there anything that changed with you as far as nutrition? I know you're sound and locked in with nutrition, so this is going to be interesting.
I mean, well, to be honest, man, I fell off with my nutrition. I was just
really.
Absolutely.
I
mean, don't get me wrong, my nutrition is still, it's not as solid as it was post-COVID.
Right.
Because I would literally eat the same thing.
Right.
Week in and week out. So
I know.
Because I have to have it prepared. So when I'm at work, I'm not starving. So with COVID and not being at work, it's like, okay, you've got a little bit more flexibility. I didn't have, like, me personally, I do best with a schedule. So I know, okay, I'm training this person at 1, I'm training this person at 2, and from 3 to 4, I can train and then I can eat.
Right.
So I have to have my food ready for that.
Right.
But not having that set schedule, it's like, okay, I can eat, I can decide whether I want to eat from 1 to 4. Or whenever, so I became laxed on it.
Right.
I wasn't putting, like, how I feel about sweet potatoes.
Right.
Arguably, the best complex carb out there, you
right.
know. But serves a purpose, outside of it breaking down slowly and it tasting good source of fiber, you're going to get a lot of nutrients from
right.
it, So the things I would incorporate every day in my diet. So like sweet potatoes, like I pointed out, eggs, things of that. I didn't incorporate it on a daily basis,
Right.
I went more for variety because I didn't have that strict schedule
right.
where I got to have all of next week's meals
right.
prepared. So the night before I pack it up and go. And as a result, I wasn't getting the nutrients I was accustomed to getting every day. So
right.
absolutely it definitely took a decline
right.
Prior, because prior my nutrition was on point.
It was locked.
I think it was super disciplined, and now it's laxed a little bit. Like this year, I avoided eating all sweets and things like that, and I'm still holding true to that.
Hold on, you gotta say that one more time, Adrian. They gotta get to know you a little bit more. You gotta say that one more time. You went a whole year without what?
Well, the year's not over, but look, I love cookies, cakes,
right,
pies,
right.
ice cream, just like the next man.
Right.
And I do it partly for discipline,
right.
but I do it because I'm getting older. I know the added sugars aren't good for my health.
Right.
I know all the chemicals that's in the foods that's not natural, especially your baked goods.
Right.
You know, you're going to find a minor
They're loaded.
amount of chemicals in there that is unhealthy for you long
Right.
term. So I know going forward, I got to limit it. You know, I got to be disciplined enough because it's for my health to say, okay, next year, you know, I can get back on it, but I need to take time off, let my body get rid of that,
Right.
you know, just to be healthy.
Right.
So that's all that's about. You know, hey, man.
What was the one beforehand? The year before, what would you cut off? You know, it's gonna be a fun one.
Well, so this is what I do. Okay, since you want me to get nitty gritty, so every year that the sweets come on, you know, I cut off bonchai.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
Hold on, we gotta.
But hey, believe it or not, I haven't gone there more than 10 times this year, bro.
Oh man, okay.
You know, yeah, even though, because again, I've had so much variety that I've been eating a lot of different things.
Right.
Where before my nutrition was really disciplined. And in my opinion, if you're trying to achieve optimal performance and get that physique you've always wanted, you really have to have it structured like that.
Right.
You know, but you have to fine tune it so that you're getting all the nutrients you need.
Right.
Because that's so important. Because if you're deficient in something like a zinc or magnesium, or vitamin D or vitamin C, all these essential nutrients that our body needs, that our hormones need to thrive, that our immune system needs to fight off something like a COVID. I didn't say it's going to cure or prevent it, but
It
it's
would
going to
definitely
help
help.
you enough so it's not going to be something that kills you.
Right.
And you can bounce back from it.
Right.
So all these nutrients our body needs, if you're trying to achieve that optimal physique and performance, you staying within a certain meal plan and consistently eating only that is going to be probably one of the best approaches to achieving that. You know, so I strayed a little. But you touched on something I really want to, you know, hit on because it's so, for me, it was a revelation. Now, I've gone a month or two, you know, just doing calisthenics, doing push-ups, pull-ups, burpees, squats, and lifted afterwards, and I didn't lose strength. But I haven't gone 4 months or 6 months, you know, and the last time I squatted, strength was still there. And, you know, it shocked me because you know the research just as well as I do. You know, according to the research, after 12 days, you start to lose strength.
I was about to say 2 weeks, but yeah, 12 days.
Yeah, you know, and you know, shoot, we've gone multiple 12 days. You know, probably 100 days. Even though, being honest, I think I deadlifted and I did hack squats at my brother's in May and June. Right. And then in July, I did it in Spirit Club, but only 3 times. And each time I did it, I'm within my 80-90% of my max. Right. You know, so I did not lose strength, and that baffled me. Right. Because knowing the research, you know, I mean, like you pointed out, this is something we're passionate about. Right. So we follow the science because it's important for us to be the best versions of us. Right. You know, so I believe the research. But now, you know, doing a case study with myself, and I know, you know, we're all, even though we're 98% the same and we're 2% different, that 2% is a lot. So how my body responds to something is going to differ from somebody else. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that
I'm shocked by that, bro.
The biggest thing is the way I see it, there is a trained body and there's an untrained body, right? And this goes the same thing with nutrition or with training. So if you're a person that's been moving and active and, you know, you've done some sort of load to your body, you know, some kind of strength training, whether it's your body weight, whether it's lifting, whether it's sports, you're going to notice that if there is a certain period where you're not training as much, the loss of strength or the loss of whatever you might have had, that's definitely going to, you know, it's not going to go at a speed compared to a person that has never trained, you know? Same thing with nutrition. You have more wiggle room. Like, I've seen some people, you know, I'll keep it, if I was to keep it, you know, 100 right now, you know, I like to be solid with my nutrition, but there's definitely some times when I'll eat something and whether I'm training somebody or I'm hanging out with a friend, they'll see me eat and they're like, whoa, you're supposed to be a trainer. What are you doing eating this and this? I'm just like, what are you talking about? You know, like I have a very healthy relationship with food just because I know for a fact that my lifestyle is training, my lifestyle is eating, my lifestyle is health and wellness. So I feel as if personally, there's no such thing as like, this pit or like this downfall that most people see it as. You know what? But if you're a person that is overweight or you're not healthy or you've never trained, then you have to be a little bit more, I feel like, conscious of what you're consuming. You can't afford to be consuming that, box of cupcakes or this and that. You know what I mean? And I've had the same discussion with you before when it comes to resistance and nutrition. Because, one of the other questions that I've been asked is, what's your take on, the diet culture, right? And it baffles me to this day because, like, whether it's, the diet culture, the society itself, or the big diet corporations that make billions off of us year round, it baffles me how we have the mentality that, thinness or like looking a certain way equates health, or, eliminating something or doing something in the name of health equals health, if that makes sense. And, I always get mind blown about that because, like, I'll see people do the craziest diets. I'll see people, I've literally talked to, a friend, and they're doing a water diet or a juice cleanse for 21 days. I've even heard crazy stuff like they would stick electrodes in their stomach to lose weight, or this and that. And I'm just like, man, this can't be a regular thing.
I mean, hey, bro, I think you hit it in the head, and what you said it was so brilliant that I don't want whoever's going to see this to miss it, because this is literally what it boils down to. I mean, you said it best, and it's about having a healthy relationship with food.
Right.
And I mean, you touched on something that is the cause of most of us not having a healthy relationship with food. I mean, due to the marketing that these big corporations use, to really get us emotional where food is concerned.
Yeah, they want you to feel bad.
Responsibility from us because we're the ones still putting it in our mouth, but there's a whole lot of manipulation going on. When you have 50 plus different names for sugar and the FDA allows that, then companies like Nestle and all the other corporations that profit off of it, they're going to exploit that, you know? And whether it's the color of the food that is going to draw attention to the aroma of it, and just it being packed with sugar, which is probably one of the most addictive substances on this earth, there's a whole lot of manipulation going on.
Right.
So if you are somebody that doesn't have that healthy relationship with food, then you stand no chance in winning against this billions, probably trillions of dollars of marketing annually to consume something that's unhealthy.
Right.
And something that gives you a false promise. And we live in an age where the instant gratification is going to make somebody gravitate towards that water diet you're talking about. Because their goal is, I want to drop X amount of pounds in 1 week or 1 month or whatever that time span.
It's crazy.
So they're not looking at it like, I have to change my lifestyle and develop that healthy relationship with food that you're pointing out, because diets mean something that you do temporarily. In order for us to truly be our best selves and be as healthy as we can, we have to adopt the outlook of this is a lifestyle.
Right.
So it's not a diet. This isn't something that's going to end next week or next month or 30 days. But this is something we should plan on incorporating for the rest of our life. And that's how we develop that healthy relationship with food.
Right.
And part of it is the education. I mean, you're very knowledgeable in nutrition, you know what I'm saying, and holistic health. So that knowledge is going to make you more responsible, and I think you're very aware of the manipulation. So you know how to make the assessments that are going to lead to you being healthier.
Right.
But majority of people, they don't, that's why they come to us as trainers.
Right.
And that's part of the problem, because not all of us are that responsible.
Right.
Like what you're doing is so huge and deserves praise because you're putting accurate information out there. And right now, people are selling other people's health out, for the mighty dollar, and they're putting whatever information out there that's going to fill their bank account instead of help somebody truly achieve optimal health. So,
Man.
I mean, we living in dangerous times as far as our health is concerned. If you even look at how things with COVID are going, you'll see at the highest level, there's a whole lot of irresponsible conduct, that is going to have a detrimental effect to our health. I mean, again, if the FDA allows these companies to use 50 different words to define sugar, right there,
That's
we're
it.
in trouble.
That's a red flag.
Because if you can only identify it as sugar and you see dextrose, you might not know, okay, that's sugar, and I probably shouldn't be consuming too much of it because I'm diabetic.
Right.
And
it might even be made, it doesn't even necessarily have to have the product. It might be made with things that contain the product. So it gets tricky the way they hide it. So with elimination diets, that's when it's especially dangerous. When they say the low fat or no fat, this and that, the problem is any food that doesn't have that is not, to be honest, as tasty as the next food, right? So what they'll say is low fat, but they would pack all that flour in there, they'll pack all the sugars in there just so that they could sell that. So ways that they sell that is either with flavor or the shelf life. There's no way it's not either or, right? So when people eliminate a certain thing, when I hear like low carb diet, low fat, there's a reason why they're macronutrients. That elimination diet only goes a certain way. There are benefits to people that do, that go into a state of ketosis, that do the keto diet. But the question is, are you going to do that forever? And that's the biggest thing. Right. So that's the biggest thing. Because like the way you lost it, you'll gain it right back. And I would have people that would they'll be in their 30s or 40s or whatever, and they would be, they'll be, damn near obese, right? And they would have these short-term goals set up, and they're trying to lose like 40, 50 pounds before a wedding, or like some kind of event. And I'm like, man, you took 20 plus years putting on this weight, but you want to go ahead and lose this much within this time, right? Let's say we do it. Let's say we put you through the Biggest Loser routine, right? We do that. How it comes back, it might even come back more just because your body's used to the stressors that we put it through. And now all of a sudden you have this like 0 or 100 mentality where, it's either you get it, and if you don't get it, you're like, all right, forget the whole thing. So that's why it's crazy because like, I would see some people that would do the all-out diet or the all-out fitness, and the moment it doesn't hit, they basically just go back to where they were, if not even lower than what they were. And it's really, really sad just because they were really excited about health and wellness and this and that. And, they'll get praises from their family, this and that. And, you're looking thinner, you're looking this and this, this and this. So emotionally, the amount of toll it takes must be like ridiculous, And personally for me, I've grown up playing sports, same thing with you being active. So that's never been a thing of a concern, losing weight, this and that. But, if me and you were to stop training, we're ectomorphs for the most part. So the biggest thing was muscle loss, So even if we lost the muscle and we stopped completely, if we were thin, people would just assume that we're healthy just because of our physical stature, right? When that's not really the case. Thin does not equal health and wellness. So it always baffles my mind. And, hopefully the direction we go forward from there is like, maybe people can start to look at things in the bigger picture, you know what I mean? Like, why am I doing the thing that I'm doing? So it's a mental game, I feel like, for a lot of people. I don't think it's not as physical, it's not simple as fitness is very simple, but at the same time it takes a lot of self-reflection, I feel like, wellness too, nutrition, sleep, all those things is like, what do I want for myself? And if there's anything that we got from this time period where we're at home all the time, we're not getting as much vitamin D, this and that. It's that we can take the time to kind of restructure and reinvent ourselves. You know what I mean? So I personally haven't seen you all that much. We see each other every single day, right? So we haven't had one of these conversations in a while, but I know wholeheartedly that you agree with this type of comment.
I mean, I agree with it because it's the truth, man. Again, once we remove this 90-day challenge, this diet or that diet, and incorporate health as our lifestyle and give it the top priority, because I've yet to see anything more important, and it's a shame that we don't realize that until something like the COVID happens, or until a family member's health and their quality of life has deteriorated to the point that things like tying their shoes, is a monumental task that they can't achieve, until we see these things where when somebody gets to that point, it's too late. We put it on the back burner as if it's something that we can make up for, not realizing that every decision we make is going to lead to us being healthier, or it's going to be destructive to our health, and it's going to be destructive to us long term. And, it's really sad because, man, we live in a society where right now you can get access to the right information and the wrong information from 2 PhDs. So you'll have one PhD say that is good for you. Keto diets are good for you. And then you have another one that says the opposite thing. And if you're not knowledgeable and discerning enough, you don't know who to believe. So, people are just going back and forth trying this and that because they're being marketed to, and people are manipulating them to get their money that they don't know the right course of action. And that's why they follow this diet and that diet, or this exercise routine, get your rectus abdominis by doing this move in the next 10 days, and, just these things that are just leading people astray,
right,
discouraging them from doing what they need to do, and giving them a foul taste because they don't know who to trust. I mean, you hit on something, as far as people's eyes being open, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. That's the purpose of this. That's why we're here. I mean, trainers don't get the respect that they deserve from a medical standpoint, and we're even more important than doctors, because if people get more trainers that know what they're doing in their lives, them seeing a doctor is almost going to be non-existent. By the time and I'm talking about outside of a checkup, I'm talking about, because of your high blood pressure, your heart disease, your cancer, and things of that nature. So I'm talking about serious issues that, people are being medicated.
That one pill, the one pill effect.
Yes, not deal with the underlying issue, which is their unhealthy lifestyle, but just to string them along, and allow them to cope with whatever illness.
Right.
But by the time people see a doctor, it's too late.
It's already too late.
Because most of the time, all they're going to do, because even our doctors, their quality has diminished, 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you a pill,
right,
which is worse for your health. Instead of them telling you, okay, prioritize eating foods that are minimally processed. You need to incorporate more fat in your diet.
Right.
You need more potassium or whatever nutrients you might need that might aid whatever you're dealing with. Instead of them doing that, they give you more drugs, which is going to break down your body and make it worse. So again, you giving out this information is so critical to our society. Us having this conversation and like-minded, because we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of trainers that do know the route people need to take to have a healthy lifestyle long term, But unfortunately, we have just as much or even more that are just manipulative, that are destructive, that are ill-informed, that are leading people astray. So our goal is to make our voices louder than theirs. athletes,
Right.
and not just trainers, but doctors, and a lot of people who their primary concern is not somebody's health or not our society's health, but their bank account.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, financial health, is very important. A lot of people have stress because of that, and that kills, and that's going to affect your optimal health. But whenever you let that trump, especially if you're in the healthcare industry, whenever you let that trump you helping your fellow man become healthier, then that's going to affect all of us, because our health is connected. If I'm healthier, I'm able to get you healthier.
That's
and the
for
next
sure.
person, if I'm not, that's going to affect your health long term. Because guess what? Me telling you, okay, don't use these chemicals. If we're living, let's say we living in this apartment building right here. I'm telling you, don't use these chemicals, and you don't use them. Well, guess what? It doesn't wind up in my water. It doesn't wind up in the air that I breathe. But if I'm not telling you that, then guess what? Even though I'm not using it, you're still going to get exposed to it. And it's going to affect your health. So, we have a lot of unscrupulous people that they think, okay, they're going to manipulate the system for them to gain financially, and they don't understand that them putting out this erroneous false information is going to affect their health and their kids' health.
Right.
So our goal is for us to be the louder voice.
Right.
And that's going to be hard, because there's a big machine that is behind people being unhealthy.
Right.
When you look at the healthcare industry, we're talking about trillions of dollars annually. I encountered something that said healthcare was around like 18-17% of the GDP for the U.S. So we're talking about trillions.
Big earner.
A lot of that is pharmaceutical companies that are pushing pills down our throat, that are giving doctors,
the go-to
incentives, and exactly, they're flying them out. So, they're just encouraging them to push all these unhealthy chemicals in our bodies, and it's damaging our society,
right.
Bro.
Right. And it's crazy. Like you had said something earlier on that riled me up, just because I've had people that I work with that would literally get, they would come from like some kind of injury, they'll go to the doctor's office, they come back to me with this outdated workout layout and a suggested path of training. And I'm just like, all right, so these are the things that, just as well as I do, that there's some stuff that you're qualified for, and there's some stuff that's outside your scope of practice, right?
Yep.
Everything is respectable until it isn't, you know what I mean? Like, we don't go out here trying to, do surgery, this and that. That's not our scope of practice. But we would get these packets from these doctor offices where they'll give them something that's probably information from the 80s or 90s. They'll tell you to do static stretching right before you do sprints or this and that. And it's just the thought of that is crazy. And on top of that, your voice is definitely not going to be heard compared to a doctor. So I've had times when I would tell something to somebody, and thankfully I work with, seemingly nice people for the most part, where they won't say it in front of my face, where they're like, all right, I'm not going to take your word over a doctor's, but you can see it in their face that like, all right, okay, I got you. And then, they'll go back and look at their packet and do that and probably get, end up injured. And on the other hand, if it's not the doctors, you have a lot of people where, I'm not saying names or whatever, but a lot of pseudo health workers, like fitness trainers or people, I feel like, in the name of fitness, when really they just want, the quick buck. They want to, because this is a field where, you can definitely work corporate in the LA Fitnesses or one of those big gyms, but you can very much as well own a gym, own a franchise, and you can earn a lot of money. You work with celebrities, you work with people that are prominent. You're definitely going to be doing that. So, in this like pervasive climate of what information and what is the best thing to do, versus, the counterpart, which is, all right, let's sell out. It's a tough battle. And when you said you're working against a big machine, that's an understatement. You know what I mean? Like, there's been times when, like, I've seen many YouTube videos just to see what people are doing. you know, where they would do like body weight exercises or like diets, this and that. And even at an elite level, like NBA players and their coaching style, like I'd see like some of them do the craziest things with their athletes, and I'm like, man, they want to sell this like shiny plan to these people just because it looks cool, right? Because they have the knowledge, they have just enough knowledge to kind of manipulate the everyday person, right? So what you said was, I mean, it has to be out, right? Just because like not a lot of people know that, and even when they do know that, they're like, all right, I'm just gonna still do this because like this is boring, you know, deadlifts are boring, sprints are boring, eating this and actually worrying about my health, you know, my holistic health, that's boring. I'm gonna go ahead and try this juice thing and see if it works. Worst comes to worst, I'll just stop and come, you know what I mean? Like that mentality is the constant battle. I feel like that we, you know, people like you and I are battling. So it's interesting to me.
I mean, it is, but number one, it's our passion, so we've got to drown that out. And at the end of the day, like what you pointed out, you know, is going to be the key factor when people continue to get wrong information. It doesn't matter who the authority is, because, I mean, you hit it on the head. Somebody that has a doctor's degree, you know, 99% of people are going to listen to them, tell them, you know, you got patella issues. Well, guess what? Don't squat. Do leg extensions.
Right.
That's going to be safer for your patella.
Go for a run.
Hear that, and you're like, oh my goodness, this guy is trying to put you out of commission, you know? And even though you're right, and like you pointed out, this is not their area of expertise, you know, even though they have a doctor's degree under their belt, this is something they're not half as knowledgeable as you about, but they still win that battle.
Right.
But after so many people get this wrong information, and it makes them injured, it makes them more unhealthy, you know, us steadily beating the drum and giving them the accurate information is, it's going to show them that, okay, this individual doesn't know what they're talking about, you know, and instead of me trying to quick fix this situation, for me to get the right information and realize that this is a marathon, this is not something that I have an unrealistic goal and I'm trying to achieve it in a week, a month, or whatever time span, but this is how I have to live my life in order for me to be as healthy as I can and have the best quality of life. As long as, because at the end of the day, we're telling the truth. So the truth gets louder and louder. So even though there's a $1 trillion machine that has an interest in keeping people blinded so they can profit off of, the truth is priceless and it's going to get louder and louder.
Right.
If you're telling people, okay, you don't want to be out in the sun because they'll rather sell you vitamin D supplements that are placebos at best and will never have the energy and the power of the sun, then at the end of the day, people are going to realize that because whatever they're prescribing to them is not working.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but again, we're up against the machine, you know, and their main incentive is to keep people blind so it can be more profitable for them, even though they're doing something that's going to destroy themselves long term, because you can never be healthier than the society you're in.
That's
you
facts.
know, so you can eat all organic and everything else,
That's
but
facts.
if everybody else is eating conventional, all those chemicals are going to leak over to your organic food that you're eating,
Mm-hmm.
and the quality is not going to be there.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, I question the machine because it's like you're destroying yourself and you don't even realize that. But that's what we're up against, and we have to fight it because it's not only in society's best interest, but it's in our own.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't be healthier than the society you live in.
Right.
That's impossible.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, my health is going to be connected to the health of everybody else around me. And right now, we are a sick world.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID is showing us that. You know, because if our health was at a certain level, you know, we wouldn't have the amount of deaths we have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but people that have diabetes and heart disease and all these other serious health issues, they don't stand a chance against this respiratory invader.
Right.
You know, and until we collectively as a society come together and prioritize our health, you know, I mean, I think this is the start of something that is going to be a long enemy, bruh.
Right.
You know, and that makes it even more important for us to keep putting the truth out there.
Right.
I know what up against. I mean, look, you see what I'm trying to do with minimal resources with my act. You know what I'm saying? Against billion-dollar corporations. You know?
Big fight.
I know we are up against a machine, you know, that their capital is a giant compared to ours. It's a David and Goliath situation.
For sure.
You know, but the truth will win, bro.
For sure.
You know, so we gotta keep putting it out there.
Yeah.
Because it's not only gonna benefit our society, it's gonna benefit us and our families and our overall health.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
So what would you say for somebody that's, you know, starting off in their, because this was a question that somebody raised up too. What would you say would be the best way to start the fitness journey for somebody that's beginning right now? Somebody that's fresh into it, you know, of any age. What would be their starting point? Where is their mentality? Where is physically? How do they go about things? You know, just a quick roundabout, because I know you know, you're under a timestamp. You know, we're talking to you right now in the Lexus right now. You know, you're busy, so I'm not going to hold you too long. But if you were to sum it up, how would somebody go about starting to be healthy?
Man, I mean, I think the best way to look at it, man, is, you know, we're 100 trillion cells, if you believe the research. Somewhere along that, suffice it to say, we're trillions of cells. Now, our cells function optimally off of 5 things that we can do. Our cells need 5, and don't get me wrong, I'm trying to simplify it. It gets more complex, but let's simplify it to this. Our cells, each and every one of our 100 trillions of cells that make us, you know, need 5 things. So we're like a walking bacteria.
Right.
You know, that might go over a lot of people's heads, and we don't have time to really get into the science of it, and I don't want to confuse anybody. But our cells need 5 things. Our cells need water. Our cells need air. Our cells need sunlight. Our cells need sleep. And our cells need activity. When I say, let me go back. Our cells need nutrients.
Right.
So put nutrients in replacement of sunlight, because we get vitamin D and energy from the sun. But focus on those 5 areas. You know, I'm not telling you to go out there and run a marathon. As you start to get healthier, you're going to be able to perform and achieve endurance and strength feats that might have seemed impossible to you.
Right.
15 years ago, when I was unhealthy, if you told me I could deadlift 200 pounds or more, I might have looked at you as you were crazy, because my lifestyle was so unhealthy. You know, I was drinking, I wasn't eating right. So just me starting to prioritize my health, the person I am now and where I'm at now is light years apart from where I would have envisioned myself at that time. But it's strictly focusing on that.
Those
and
fundamentals.
Sleep is my Achilles heel. I tell you that all the time. And sleep is your superpower.
Well, you ain't gotta say it like that, Adrian. Now the people know, man. You know, your boy's well rested.
It's important. I mean, that goes down to your hormones and everything. So you being laid back and things like that, sleep allows that.
Right.
And it's so important because our cells need rest.
Right.
And our cell needs good quality air.
Right.
And I'm talking, there's a difference between air being outside, even though it's polluted. I know there's only a few places in our environment now where we get, you know, the best quality air. But the air outside is better than the air in any building.
Right.
Because all that industrial products they've used in those buildings, you're breathing in those particles. You're breathing in those chemicals. So when I say air, I'm talking about getting outside and getting that air.
Right.
You know, our cells need movement.
Right. And I
You know,
mean,
so
the
I'm not
five the
telling you
five
to go
doctors
out
that
there.
you mentioned right now, the five doctors.
Uh-huh.
I said this. The five doctors that you mentioned right now. You know, I hope that people understand they're gems right now. What he said right now, that's the foundation. If you abide and start off on those five things, you get your nutrition, sleep, training, sunlight, and then water. I mean, from there you're building on up, and you're setting expectations and goals and knowing that it's something you're doing for a lifetime, right? And whenever you hear something like you're starting something for a lifetime, that should almost take the load off of you, because most people come into training with this tension where they have to do something right away. So this should almost take the pressure off, because you're doing it for a long time. Whether you're a trainer or not, you're going to end up being knowledgeable in something if you're always going to practice it, right? And for the most part, you know working with a trainer, somebody that's a professional, it saves you the time and effort, and also the preventative stuff. Like, me and you, we've trained for a long time, and we're basically a one-man test run, when it comes to training, because I've had a shoulder injury, you've had a vicious lower back injury, your QL and whatnot. So we know those things really well and how to rehab them, just because we went through them, right? But if somebody was to work with a professional, they wouldn't have to have the same situation. You know what I mean? That reset never has to be there. So that's our advice. Working with somebody that knows what they're talking about. Researching, and if you stay within those five realms: exercising, water, nutrition, sunlight, and sleep. That's the baseline. From there, you can research and do more. But before we move on and conclude, there's a reason why Adrian is in the car talking to us right now, is because he's always on the go. And one of the most exciting things that Adrian is doing right now is he has this very awesome app, Health Equals Wealth. The way I like to think about it, he's going to correct me and he's going to probably break it down better. But if you think of like a healthy Facebook, that's what it is, because you have things that you're interacting with most folks. You're talking about things that ultimately will get you better. So everything that we spoke about, whether it's sleep, nutrition, training, and whatnot, you get a chance to post it and you get awarded these Go Bucks. Adrian's going to break it down a little bit better. But I want you to talk a little bit more about it and what's in development and what's happening with it and where you're heading off, so that, we can wrap it up.
Okay, hey, man, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about my baby. So, yeah, I would say think more LinkedIn than Facebook. So, Holistic Health LinkedIn, where LinkedIn is focused on occupation and profession. Our goal is just focused on health. And like you were pointing out, we want to incentivize your healthy activities. So what that means is we want you to share your healthy activities. Whether you're about to go to sleep or your tracker just showed you that you got 8 hours of sleep. We want to see that, because again, I can't be healthier than my society. My health is going to be limited to how healthy my society is. So if we have an environment or a community where that's our focal point and each of us are getting healthier, our environment is going to get healthier. But not to stray off, because me and Abel could talk about this forever. So we want you to share those healthy activities. Whether you're educating yourself, reading a book, share that book, because that's your mental health. If you're going for a walk, that's your endurance health. And especially if you're outside, you're out in nature, which science has shown us is good for us. And when you share these healthy activities, we want to reward you for that, because that's important. In my opinion, that's the most important thing we can do as people. Not sharing the healthy activities, but doing the healthy activities. But I want to have a chamber where we're magnifying these activities so we can have more people do it. And how we reward you is everything you post, you get a wealth coin for. And as your wealth coins accumulate, you can use the wealth coins to redeem for fitness trackers, sneakers, cash,
Can't beat that.
and things that are going to promote your healthy lifestyle. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is we're incorporating your fitness tracker into our app. So I want to challenge you to get those 10,000 steps. I want to see if you get those 10,000 steps. And if you do, you're going to get more wealth coins. And I want to encourage you to get 8 hours of sleep. And again, you're going to get more wealth coins. And I want you to share that, because that is going to improve our health collectively. And the more we can support each other in that, I think the more beneficial it's going to be to us as a society. So that's what I'm most excited about. Our aim is before 2021, we're going to be finished with, it is a subscription. So if you want to sync your fitness tracker to our app, it's going to cost you a small amount, $19.99 a month. But if you're somebody that's active, if you're somebody that's health conscious, you're going to be getting more rewards that are valued more than $19.99 a month, which is around $200 and some change a year. Like, to launch that, I'm giving away $1,000 to the first person that gets to 500,000 steps. And if you get enough steps like me, I average between 12 to 16,000. You're going to be at that number, in half of a year, maybe sooner. But long story short, we're going to incentivize your healthy activities, and we're going to use your fitness tracker to not only track that, but to create challenges, with you and your family members and your colleagues and everybody in your life, because this should be what we're championing. Because last time I checked, we're only on this earth for a limited amount of time. So to me, our focus should be to have the best quality of life while we're on this earth. And we're not going to be able to achieve that if we don't prioritize our health.
Right.
So I know that was a little all over the place, but download Health Equals Wealth and see for yourself and stick with us. We've definitely covered a lot of ground and fixed a lot of the bugs, so they're going to be less and less. But we're going to give you a very good quality product that's definitely going to be beneficial to your health, and that's going to be rewarding to you tangibly by you getting sneakers or gift cards or whatever that's going to promote more healthy activities, and even more important, intangibly, because you're going to feel better and you're going to be healthier and you're going to perform better. So definitely check us out.
Yeah, so I think you hit it on the head, man. I mean, from the sound of it, how I see it is you have a trainer, you don't really have a trainer. Use that app well, you use it resourcefully, especially when the real-time tracker comes. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So again, Health Equals Wealth, download that. Again, Adrian, I want to personally thank you. This was our first podcast. We covered a lot of grounds. Me and you having this discussion is the first time on air, but won't be our last. I think there's a lot of different discussions that we can break down into. So I want to thank you, and we'll link up soon.
Hey man, I didn't forget, man. The next one is going to be at that Revamp studio you got there, man. It's looking real jazzy over there, man. Hey, I need to get some deadlifts and some front squats in over there. So now we got to schedule the next one in there and show them how we get down and how we prioritize our health and how important it is for us, because our movement is a celebration, bruh. Our performance, man, that's the celebration of life, So I look forward to coming to that Revamp studio with you, and really getting it in the future, man.
You got it, man. All right, boss man. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon. Everybody that's watching, we hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe for more content. We hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you guys soon.
Make sure you go check out Abel, man. He's doing some amazing things with Revamp, man. I want to salute you, say how proud of you I am, and to encourage you to continue, man. We got to make our voice louder, bro, because we're giving the truth to society, and that's what we need, man. And companies like Revamp, Health Equals Wealth, Spirit Club, and all the other companies that are on the right side of getting people healthy, man, that's much needed.
For sure, man. You nailed it, man. And, we're fighting a good fight.
Absolutely, man. We're going to win the good fight, bruh.
Yes, sir. All right, Adrian. Well, I'm going to holler at you soon. It was good talking to you, man.
Hey, always, man. It's always very informative, man. Thank you.
All right, Adrian. Peace out.